Hello everyone, I'm Joshua Weeblehouse. This is Kobold Crafts. In this episode, we're going to be talking about running the gulthias tree in combat. Now, the gulthias tree has a lair. It's a 120-foot diameter area that I run. This is the radius that its roots can reach. This cloth here, that I'm touching with my measuring stick that I use for how the characters move, based off the video by DM Scotty. I don't know if you can see that. But this is, every inch is 5 feet. So this is 120 feet. It has a radius of 60 inches that it can move, which gives a diameter of 120 feet. With the gulthias tree typically at the center, though you might not want to do that, just so your players don't go, we head for the center. The tree in the center is the gulthias tree. So you might have a bunch of trees in the center so they can't pinpoint which one exactly is it, because the gulthias tree's ability is to make itself look like a normal dead tree, and that would take it away if we just move to the center, and there's the tree in the center. That's the one we go for. So in this video, this tree right here is the gulthias tree. So it's not exactly clear which of these things is the gulthias tree. So the players will have to figure that out. Now, the roots can... the trees, I'm sure, have a root span bigger than 120 feet. If I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comments, but it doesn't really matter for the purposes of the game. A bigger root span, while interesting, is just kind of going to be annoying for the players, because what I do is the gulthias tree can regrow roots. Every round, the gulthias tree regains 10 hit points, and each root has 10 hit points, so it can expend 10 hit points just to give unlimited roots per round. So once they enter this area, it's pretty much every round we're going to be fighting roots, and they have to go through these tar pits, and the tar pits inflict 1d6 fire damage, and you can catch on fire. Obviously, they're not burning. These are just bits of bone from these plastic skeletons you can get around Halloween. I just did some squiggles with some hot glue on some cardboard and plastic from cereal boxes and other things, and then just spray painted that with a shiny black spray paint, if you want to make these. And they just break up the battleground, so the players just can't rush through a bunch of trees. Instead, they have to we move around. Then there are these discs here. These are dead vines. Each one of them is about an inch wide, some a little more, and they count as rough terrain. So I don't know if you can see here, but here in this gap there's vines, so that's rough terrain. That's going to cost 10 feet of movement just to get through there. Then there's the bush there as well. There's the vine. Everything just makes it very slow. I think it took about 6 or 7 rounds for the players in my game to get through to rescue their companion who'd been captured by these blighted dryads that the gulthias tree sent out, and the companion was impaled on a spike on the gulthias tree, which was draining his blood, because it's a undead vampire tree, basically. That's how it's described in the book. The first gulthias tree was created when a greenwood stake was stabbed into the heart of a vampire, and then the players just left it there, and it just sprouted a tree. An undead tree, though, that lived and grew from feeding off blood. So that's how it grows. It expands its area. It kills the forest around it. I describe it as there's lots of dead trees in the area. There's some alive outside this 120-foot radius. There should be some trees that are alive, but they're sick. They're blighted. There's a blight affecting the area. And then there's some trees that are dead. And some of those trees are blights. Some of them are twig blights. This is one of the few miniatures I have. They're very hard to get. twig blight miniatures. Some of them are needle blights. And then the impossible miniatures to get, because they don't exist as far as I know, I mean, if I'm wrong, please tell me so I can get some, are vine blights. And I created some. As you can see, not too great. I mean, it works. It's just a wire frame with some string on it that I painted, and it's supposed to represent a vine blights. It works. It represents it. I mean, honestly, this is one of the few times where I'd use like a paper miniature, that it's just a picture, like Pathfinder miniatures. I prefer my miniatures 3D though. So, let's get into running the gulthias tree. I find it's the best to just show. Now I've got this. I will try to show the stats on the side of the screen. I don't know if I will be able to, so I'm just going to show the paper briefly, and if I am unable to, at least you'll be able to take a screenshot or something. Anyway, move some of these dead trees for a second so I can show this paper. It's a huge plant, neutral evil, arm class 13, that's its natural armor, hit points 150, and it has 14d12 plus 4. Its speed is 20 feet, it can move, but it's very slow. So the players could pretty much run away from it constantly and just throw arrows at it, which I will discuss how to get around that. Those are its stats. It has a wisdom of +0, intelligence +0, charisma +0, constitution 15, dexterity 6, -2. It's a tree, it can't move very fast. And its abilities, damage vulnerabilities, fire, damage resistances, bludgeoning, necrotic, piercing, so arrows aren't going to be very effective on it, unless they're fire arrows, or alchemist files on the tips of arrows, which would be very effective. It has a passive perception of 10, it can speak, it can understand common, I'd reward about 2,000 experience for it, and it has creeping fog. This is what allows it to stay out in the daylight, because it does take damage from daylight. And within 500 feet of the gulthias tree, the forest is suffused with a thick miasma that blocks sunlight. The entire area is dimly lit and lightly obscured. A strong wind, at least 30 miles per hour, will disperse it. So, that's how it works. Those are its basic things. Then are its roots. I don't have a piece of paper for its roots, but like I said, they can grapple, they can do a slam attack, and they can just come up and do a piercing. So I'm going to show that. So move those trees back in place. Alright. Let us begin. You come to the ruins of Thunder Tree. You have heard many rumors about this place. People say there's a blight afflicting it. You come to a circle. Many adventurers have come here and died. In the circle is filled with dead trees, swamp pits of blackened tar bubbling and boiling from the heat generated from the earth. There are vents in the ground that emit a thick steam and fog that suffuses the air with a dark miasma, blocking sunlight and obscuring your vision. "Let's go in," says the Asmir Ranger, Zasha. Says, "Very well," says Samwise, the rogue. "We can shoot our bows at the beast wherever it is, and as long as we stay away from it, it won't be able to attack us." "Very good," agreed the paladin with their dual-wielding crossbows. The party ventures in. They move forward. At first, all seems well. They approach in, the rogue taking the lead, scouting ahead for traps. The paladin following in the middle, while the Asmir Ranger circles around. Suddenly, as they approach the center, roots spring up from the ground. Okay, now that combat has begun, it's time to roll initiative. So, the gulthias tree will pretty much always have surprise, because this is its area. You're almost within its body, I would say, its lair. So, it has advantage on rolls. It rolls a 17 for its initiative. Give me a second, I need to grab my dice tower. The ranger rolls a... I can't read that. 7 plus 3, because he's in his favorite terrain. The paladin rolls a 17 for her initiative as well. And the ranger, the rogue, has an animal companion. This rogue right here is actually one of the players I have. None of my players have original names, which is why his name is Samwise. And the Mastiff Gamgee, his animal companion. They both roll 10. I always have my players' animal companions go on the same turn just to save time rolling initiative and whose turn goes now? Also your animal companion. So they both go at the same time. So in the order, it's Brianna and the gulthias tree. They're tied. So the gulthias tree goes. She rolls a 17 again. Brianna goes. She rolls a 6. So the gulthias tree is going first. Then the ranger. Then the rogue, and then the paladin. So the gulthias tree has yet to reveal itself. It hasn't moved, only its roots have moved. So all of a sudden, roots come out. Now the roots will never appear in the tar pits, because fire damage, which the tree is susceptible to. It's generating heat from the ground, but it does not... Even though these are things it creates in its lair, it's not things that it really can touch within its lair. These are the places where I say where it throws the dead bodies. So if the players want treasure, they're going to have to go find a way to search through this. So all these roots spring up. And it's the gulthias tree's turn first. So it's going to attack. So the roots make an attack. The 2 roots around the ranger both roll. They have plus 6 to hit. Plus 6 makes it a lot more likely, but his AC is 18, and that's only a 12 for the first root. The second root hits, and he takes 6 damage. So that's a pretty good attack for the first round. The rogue, surprised, also has a high AC of 18. That is a hit. He takes 4 damage. The paladin, attacked. That's a hit. She takes 6 damage. From the other root, that's a miss. She doesn't take damage. The mastiff, that's a miss, doesn't take damage. So that's only the first round, and people have taken 6 damage. So depending what your level, like first level, this is not a first level boss. He can get off a lot of attacks. These are like a lot of minions. They're technically part of his body, but remember, he can regenerate 1 per round. So there's pretty much always going to be, he's able to attack with the root. Plus, he can make 2 multi-attacks with his actual body. And all of these roots, he can use, he doesn't have to just pick one. He can use all of them per round. So that's a lot of attacks. They have to like thin out some of the numbers of roots, and then you got to start attacking the actual body, which is 150 hit points, regenerating 10 per round, get that and destroy him to 0. And then, if they think about it, you have to dig up his roots. Because as long as these are on the ground, and maybe they don't dig them all up, maybe you have them roll, and they fail, and one of the roots slithers away, and he regrows somewhere else. You can do that. That's certainly an option. That'd be a very interesting thing, like, oh no, maybe they see a root wriggling away, and they have to try to make another roll, and they fail, and he gets away, and that's something they have to hunt down. It's up to you. Or maybe they don't even dig up the roots at all, and they come back and say, hey, I wonder what Thunder Tree looks like now. Or maybe they have a reason to return for some reason that you put in there, and they come back and the blight has spread. The area of effect, it's all brown and dead now, and they're like, what happened? I thought we fixed this. And it turns out, no, the tree is bigger this time. It's like a weed. If you don't get the roots, it comes back bigger and stronger, and they have to fight it again. So it can be a good reoccurring boss. So that's one of the ways you can use it. Let's continue. Okay, so last round I showed how the roots do slam attacks. Now it's grappling. The roots can do constrict, which is basically like the ability of a vine blight, but for the roots. So it's +4 to hit. They have a reach of 10 feet, and one target, and it does 2d6 bludgeoning damage, and a large or smaller creature is grappled, and with an escape a DC of 18. Until the grapple ends, the target is restrained, and the root cannot constrict or attack another target. So it does do more damage than the slam attack, but you're limited to this one for a while. So I'm going to do an example with the Paladin. So the 2 roots have advantage. I didn't realize it last round. They're flanking her. So both of them attack. And one of them successfully grapples her. Actually, let me check that. Yep, it successfully grapples her. So that's going to inflict 2d6 damage. That is 10 damage. So what has she gotten? Like 16 damage? Yep. So now, as a move action, as part of its movement, it's going to release its grapple by throwing her into the tar pit. So it's going to fling her into the tar pit, where she immediately takes another 2d6 fire damage. So luckily she rolled a 1. That's only 1 point of fire damage. But she's on fire now. And this is tar. Thick, viscous tar. It's not boiling water where you could just swim out and you're scalded and burned. You're scalded and burned, and you're in sticky tar. So to move, she's going to have to use a bunch of a saving throw. She's going to have to do a DC 12 strength check to get out of the tar, and it's going to be rough terrain, so it's going to cost her like twice her movement, which, let's see, that is 10 feet 2 inches, so that's going to be 20 feet of movement just to get out of there. And the roots can push her back in, or make it difficult to do that. If she goes back this way, that's all her movement just to get to the edge, or no, to get out. So that's a lot of movement right there. As you can see, one of the roots, I'm going to do a different example, is going to grapple him. This root has grappled him. And the other root, he's restrained, is going to attack him with advantage, because not only is he restrained, but he's grappled. I mean, not only is he grappled, but he's flanked by them. They're on either side of him. So he's taking a lot of damage. I'm going to say he takes double damage because he's grappled. That is also lucky. Rolls a 1. I'm going to stop using that dice because... So that's 2 points of damage. But if that had been, let's see what this is. If that had been a 5, he'd taken 10 points of damage. And so you can see how they haven't even gotten to the boss yet, and they've already taken quite a bit of damage. This situation implies that your party doesn't really have any flying abilities. This party did, but they weren't using them because they were dumb. That's pretty much the only way to use it. Say it like, you guys could have flown over this entire thing and scattered it, but they like to charge in and not be tactical, which is disappointing to me. I reward tactical thinking, and I never use it. Now, third round. I guess actually, no, I'm going to show the players attacking now. So, whose turn is it first? It is the Ranger's turn. So he's grappled. He needs to break the grappling. That's a DC 18. He has a +5 strength. That is a 12, so he does not. He does not. He is still grappled. The Rogue is going to attempt to free him. So he is going to throw both his daggers. That's a natural 20. That's an 11. Plus his dexterity modifier is 14. The Root's armor class is 13, so both his daggers hit. He's going to... These cannot take poisoning damage. No, they're... It doesn't say anything on poison damage, so yeah, they can take poison damage. So he's going to roll his dice. Plus 1d6 poison damage. 4. That's 8, 6, and he's also using... What is the other... My player has way too many magical daggers. I need to start giving those out. Yes, he's going to use his fire dagger, which, remember, does vulnerable. So 4, that's 8. So the Root is dead. It only has 10 hit points. So the Root grappling him is gone. It's dead. So the Ranger's free now. But remember, every new round, a Root can come back. And so pretty much until they actually fight the gulthias tree, he can just keep sending them roots. If they just decide to spend the entire battle fighting these roots and never look for what's sending these roots, they're going to die. Because it can just make more and more and more. So you might want to, like, say, do a perception check and you notice rumbling from a certain area, and maybe give them hints. Like, if they're just fighting the roots, they don't stop to think, hey, where are these roots coming from? You as DM might want to give them a hint. And if they continue not messed up, you might say, you guys are going to lose. You realize you're going to lose if you keep fighting. And if they keep fighting, you have a dumb party. I can't help you. You have to kill them all. Sorry. So that's the Mastiff's turn. By the way, he goes in the same turn the Rogue does. So he's going to bite at this. He is 1d6 bite plus 4 for strength. He was a high strength. That misses. That's an 8. That does not hit its armor class. He snaps, but misses. He lunges forward, turning his head, snapping at the root, but it coils back with its lightning fast tree reflexes. So the Ranger's turn now. I mean, the Paladin. I keep saying Ranger. I play Ranger, so that's why. She manages to get out. That's all her movement. She has 1 attack. No, she has 2 attacks. Both her crossbows. So that's a 2. And that's a 4. Both bolts miss. She raises her crossbows, but the scalding burn of the tar, and as it sticks to her and messes up her bowstrings, and her shots go wide. Back to the gulthias tree's turn. This is the 4th round now, I believe. Okay, last part of the video, I'm thinking. Let me see. How much more abilities do I need to go through? Okay. Multi-stack, slam, and impale. Impale, that's a good one. And Slam, we've already gone over that. So, it's a new round. What can the gulthias tree do every round? It creates another root. So, the paladin decides to move around and run. I'll say she gets to here, and the ranger follows her. They're trying to... And all of a sudden, from behind them, the seemingly normal tree sprouts into this, the gulthias tree. Huge, monstrous. I'm actually, just for the sake of filming, gonna, even though they couldn't have moved that far in the game, but you can't see them because this is a huge tree, blocks line of sight. They're on this side. Okay, you can see that, kind of. I don't know, glare or anything. No, that's not better. Okay, so this is its attacks. It makes 2 attacks. It has +6 to hit. So that's a natural 1. I'm not going to go over what that would do because it has 1 successful attack, and it's going to do an impale. And that's only 1d6 piercing damage. That's 4 damage. And then this is the bigger part, 3d6 necrotic damage. And that's 7. So 7 plus 4, that's 11 damage. Plus 4, that's 15 damage. 1 hit. Pretty good. As you can see, we just showed its 2 big abilities: false appearance, regeneration. I've described the creeping fog. I've described its multi-attack, its slam, its impale. Are there any other things? No. So I'm just gonna say the battle goes on. They all gain up on it. They defeat the tree, and it crashed. There's a cracking in its base, and the tree falls over into a giant log and branches. And the heroes celebrate. They collect a bunch of its branches, which I can use as treasure, which my own party has not figured out to use. They add 1d6 necrotic damage for any polearms, such as lances or javelins or spears or halberds or whatever, big long weapons or quarterstaves. And for bolts and arrows, they add 1d4 necrotic damage. It's a smaller piece of wood, so it does a smaller amount of damage. But 1d4 plus the amount of damage from the thing, plus anything else adds up over time. So that's useful right there. That's it, folks. As I said in the video on how to make the gulthias tree miniature, which had problems with. Hopefully this video does not. I will be making giant mushroom miniatures next week. I don't think I'm gonna do anything on how to run giant mushroom miniatures. I mean, it's pretty much a homebrew thing. They deal poison damage and stuff like that. So, like and subscribe, share this video. Let's trying to build up a following. Comment below. Tell me how I could use this better, if it's overpowered. Remember, this can kill your players. I have these players running at 3rd level, but I would not recommend that you run it at 3rd level. My characters had way too many magic items. I have to constantly challenge them with overpowered creatures, or they just wipe through everything. They literally killed a young green dragon in 3 rounds. That tells you how much overpowered I've made them. And I'm not just going to take away their magical items or damage them, say they do well. No, I'm just going to... I've been telling them, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to try to kill you guys, basically, because anything else is not working. It's not challenging you. So, do not... I would say this is a 5th level encounter. Maybe 4th, depending on how many magic items they have. But remember, it can summon a root per round. The root does a bunch of damage. It's basically a minion, except it doesn't just have 1 hit point. It has 10, so if they do anything under 10, it's still there. And it can make a new root pretty much every round. So if they don't kill the roots, it can still keep making more, as long as it can make as many as you have miniatures for, or as many as you want. So it could just swarm the area in between the tar pits. Remember, it can't do anything in the tar pits because it takes fire damage, which is vulnerable too. So that's how you that's how you run the gulthias tree. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and I will see you next week. I will leave a link in the description down below to the stats for this and the roots, so you can copy those and tell your friends about the show, your Dungeon Master about it. I'll see you guys next week, like I said. Okay. Time to try to upload this. It's gonna probably make me frustrated again, but I don't care about getting it out as much as I